Good evening. I'm going to call the November 9th, 2023 agenda meeting to order. I am here, Councilmember McPartlin, Councilmember Moskowitz, Town Attorney Finnan. We have Seth Goldstein, Elizabeth Greenwood, Janet Wynn, Chief Koshin, Lori Preddy, Laura Robertson, Ray Smith, Matt Yetto. We have residents here, Leslie Gold and Ted Remsnyder from the Gazette. Before moving on, we wish to respectfully acknowledge that Niskayuna is on the traditional lands of the Kanikihaka and the Mahikanac peoples, past and present, and we honor with gratitude the land itself and the peoples who have stewarded this land throughout generations. Okay, let's start with the Public Works Committee.
Good evening. Number one's a tentative resolution to hire a grounds maintenance worker. We're going to hold off on that until December. We have some that are in the process still. We're going to let them filter in, and we still have applications coming in. So we want to do a good review of what we got coming in. Thank you.
Thank you.
The second resolution is a resolution to accept the water line on Aqueduct Road. It was a water line that was installed by the developers of Rivers Ledge. It's been approved by New York State DOH, and we're ready to accept it. The next one is a water line that was installed on Hilltop Road last year. That's been approved by DOH as well, and we'd like to go ahead and accept that as a town main as well. The next one is a resolution to approve the third quarter corporate utility warrant. And the next one is a tentative resolution to appoint a water and sewer maintenance worker or workers. We have 2 open positions that were created by internal transfers within the department. We're still interviewing. If we get 2 good candidates, we'll provide a name. It doesn't look like it's going to happen this month, though, because of the short time frame between the meetings. But if we get lucky, I'll provide a name to Elena. And if not, we'll move it to the next month. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Moving on to community programs.
Okay, number 6, a resolution to authorize the purchase of the AED and cases for the town parks. I gave everyone a packet that has the budget of what we're expecting to spend and also the donations that we have received. So in total, with 5 AEDs and 5 cases for all 5 parks, the total would be $16,569.10. And the case that we had picked, and I gave everyone a copy, is a weatherproof year-round case. You would have to call 911. The dispatcher would give you a code, and this way you can open it up. We found this to be the most secure. Everything else either had a key or just a flimsy alarm, which if it went off at one of our parks like Avon Crest, that AED would be gone before anybody would know about it. So we found this to be the most secure, and even the gentleman from Stryker agreed with us. So, and Stryker's who is giving us, or we're purchasing the AEDs from. This does need a power source, which there is power at all of our parks. So there's a heater inside, which allows the AEDs to stay warm even during the winter.
Do we still have concerns about the 911 dispatch being able to provide the code?
Do you have concerns?
I think after evaluating all of the different options, we realized that this was definitely the most secure and the best option. We'll work closely with the 911 director and with the fire departments locally in the 2 districts. But I definitely think it's the most secure option. So
I did speak to some people over at the UCC myself and talked to them about what we want to do, and they have experience with this. It is in other places where they do have the codes there that would come up when someone called. And I did ask about the rollover, to the state police and that sort of thing. And the woman that I spoke to said that does happen sometimes, not very often. But I guess in that case, they would quickly get a hold of them to get that. Or they would also provide that to the other dispatch centers.
Right.
So it could give me a little more comfort, I guess, in having the codes.
And plus it's secure.
Yes.
That was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Roy and I talked about it at length, and then the security of it, I think, was the most important. I mean, even with the one that had an alarm that beeped when it was opened, I mean,
Right,
in the middle of a park, no one's going to hear that alarm going off.
right. And those aren't
So-
very secure boxes.
they're
No, you
not,
can just, I
right?
mean, you can just pull it open and it beeps, but
Right.
that won't deter anybody.
Mhm.
So I definitely think this option's the most secure.
Right. And if you look at the budget that I gave you, the total cost is 16,569.10. And Elena, I'll make sure to get you all the backup and the exact number.
That's what I was just going to ask for. Thank
But
you.
donations we've received to date are $12,021. So
Great. And we can use the remaining, we'll use the funds from the $500,000 grant that we just received from Phil Steck to cover the remaining 4,000.
then we're all good.
Yep.
I know
Excellent.
this has taken a while, so I apologize, but better safe than sorry.
And it's good to think through all the possible security issues. So
Absolutely, yeah. All righty, all right. Number 7 is a resolution to hire a fitness instructor. We had one of the fitness instructors at the senior center move out of state, and she had found a replacement. So we just need to put this woman on a resolution.
Great.
And then number 8 is a resolution to accept donations. This week, we had Jesse Holland, who had previously come in with a donation, show up with a $500 check from Stephen Egna, and also a check from Niskuna Fire District 2 for $2,501. And the $1 was to make sure that they beat out the other fire district.
Oh my gosh.
And he made a point of saying that quite a few times.
I wondered about that.
That's awesome. Yeah.
That makes sense too, because that is my favorite fire district. So,
There you go. We got the extra $1.
well, there you go. Good job, Fire District 2.
That's
Good
right.
job, Chief Wyman.
Does anybody have any questions? No? Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Just kidding. I don't have a favorite fire district. Don't write that. All right. Economic Development, Historic Preservation, Environmental Conservation Committee.
Number 9 is a resolution to make a secret determination on the transfer of lands of the Mohawk River State Park to the town of Niskuna. You guys have been working on this for a while. You did a resolution, I think maybe a year ago, telling the state that we would like to accept the lands. The state's been working on it. Jamie's had a lot of correspondence, and when the state disposes of over 100 acres of land, it has to have a secret determination. So they asked us to do that. CAC looked at it for 2 meetings. They made a recommendation to you guys last night for a negative determination, which is a good thing for seeker. And so we'll have their report to you guys very soon, because I realize that the next meeting is a really quick turnaround for taking the lands, and that'll be prepared for you. The one recommendation that they had was that the lands remain as is. I think that comes with the state as well. The state, wants to make sure that the trails and everything are maintained. So you'll see that when I put together the secret determination. Number 10 is a resolution to award a contract for a consultant engineer for the preparation of TAP, which is Transportation Assistance Program, funding application, preliminary and final design, right-of-way, and construction support services for traffic calming measures on Route 7. The supervisor and I worked really hard when we got the solicitation for this project. Initially, we had looked at sidewalks, but we had a really constructive meeting with the supervisor and Chief Cochin at DOT, and they actually recommended that we look at this. They felt like it would be a strong project, and if we have the support of the state, we discussed it. We definitely want to jump on that. It is a competitive grant, and it likely will be expensive. the comptroller asked me what the percentages are, and it's federal money. It's 80% federal and 20% cash from the town. But what we want to do is hone in on the specific areas on Route 7 that have the highest safety problems and try and actually implement something there that will help people. So we put the solicitation out, and we will have an engineer for that hopefully by the next meeting, and then try and get an application in by January 1st. Did anybody have any questions on that one? Okay. Number 11 is actually same concept, but different approach. It's a resolution to authorize the submittal of a linkage study to the Capital Region Transportation Council regarding Route 7. We're kind of taking a two-pronged approach for the problems we're having at Route 7. One is to try and get a shovel in the ground to fix some of the extreme safety areas, and the other is to do a long-term study of the corridor, and then see if we can get the funding to do a corridor-wide upgrade. Everything's kind of on the table, but some things we bounced around are changing the passing lane to grass or something. Just to narrow that visual corridor, but obviously a linkage study is going to be much better off than Laura just saying something. So we're hoping to submit that by December 1st, and that's 90% by the Capital Region Transportation Council and 10% in kind. So probably budget neutral. The Complete Streets Committee will work very hard with me on it. And then, anytime the supervisor spends, I spend, Ray, Matt, all of that's in kind, it adds up pretty good. So I'm not too worried about doing in kind on that one. And then hopefully between the two of them, we'll find a way that we can make Route 7 better for our neighborhoods and our people. Number 12, I do have to pull. I am really struggling with this one. I will try and get it out for you guys in December. Any questions on any of those? I just wanted to thank the state and Jamie and Jordan for really being supportive of this, and hopefully one of these things will help.
Yeah, those are three very big resolutions.
Yeah.
I mean, they're big.
Really big.
They are 100 acres, which will be under our control for our residents, and Route 7 to tackle that along with the linkage study and the corridor. I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah, we've been working. Hey, we didn't call you up yet,
I know,
sir.
I'm sorry. I just
Eager Beaver.
I wanted to pretend like I was a part of the conversation.
I mean, you were part of those DOT conversations, so okay, we'll allow it. Yeah, the team has been working on a lot of different projects, and Route 7 is one of those projects. And like Laura described, we are looking to, address those traffic issues in a variety of ways, one of which is creating a traffic division so we can have additional officers and, more traffic engagement and enforcement, but then also looking at traffic calming measures to actually make changes to Route 7 to improve the safety. We had a really good conversation with the DOT, the New York State Department of Transportation. They were very amenable,
Supportive.
very
It
supportive.
wasn't just a minimal.
Yeah, they were very
incredibly
supportive.
of this concept.
Yes, and particularly medians, having medians in that center lane, as well as, gateway, like a gateway entrance.
Mhm.
Welcome to Niskayuna.
Mhm.
It would just be fabulous if we could get it. So we're going to work really hard to find the best engineering firm to help us write those grants and get after it.
Yeah, they're difference makers. I mean, that could be a great area for recreation, the Mohawk River State Park, and to tackle Route 7. I mean, we haven't tackled it yet. That's a big undertaking, but this is certainly a good start to it.
Yeah.
So thank you. And thank you, Laura.
Good.
All right, Chief.
Okay.
Moving on to police and public safety.
Number 13 is a resolution to appoint a court clerk. Number 14 is a tentative resolution to appoint a dog control officer. I think that's probably going to end up being in December because we're not done with the entire process at this point yet. Number 15 is a resolution to permanently appoint a deputy chief. We know our deputy chief is Joe Twitty. He was appointed to this position for a reason, and he has yet to do anything but exactly what we expected him to do. Joe is an outstanding member of our police department, has been that way for a long time. I trust the man with my life, and he does an excellent job for our town and for our agency. So I'm very happy to push this permanent appointment forward to you folks. Number 16 is a tentative resolution to call for a public hearing regarding an amendment to Niskuna Town Code as it relates to parking on Plum Street. I have conferred with our town planner, Laura Robertson, the superintendent of highway, Ray Smith, and I spoke today about this. Chief Lingenfelter actually went to the intersection and pulled out a measuring tape. We are all in agreement that we believe that the north side of Plum Street from the intersection of essentially where you would go into Hillside, meaning Cornelius, Nicholas, and Plum Street, that north side with the new sidewalk, all the way down over Van Antwerp Road, continuing on Plum Street to Palmer Ave. And people are going to ask, why would you continue it down if there's not a sidewalk that currently exists from Van Antwerp Road to Palmer Avenue? Well, at some point, those are probably going to connect, right? And so we thought it would make sense to do this at this point in anticipation of that possibly connecting. There is not a lot of residents on that section of residential houses on that section of road anyways. There was some issues brought up in the past regarding folks parking on both sides of that particular roadway and being able to get apparatus through. For instance, when we measured from the new sidewalk side of Upper Plum Street in what we're describing with the chief's vehicle and my vehicle side by side with that new sidewalk, there's probably 8 or 9 feet of space in between the two. Well, he told me that a fire truck is 8 feet wide. So obviously that's not going to work. And again, in anticipation of continuing down that road to connect, because Palmer Ave tends to be a heavily traffic pedestrian area coming up to the school, we think that we should do it in one foul swoop, if that makes sense.
So how many houses, how many residents does that affect in that section there?
So
Van
the
Antwerp
second
to
section that
Palmer?
we're describing, there is one residence on the corner. There's an alleyway for all the parking back there. There's and then I believe 2 more residents that both have driveways on that side that we're talking about. But there is no residential area over there that doesn't have driveways or off-street parking from that side. So on the opposite side, I believe it was between 2 and 3 residents that were parked over there. But we had an issue last year. So what tends to happen is some folks, there's an overflow parking concept from either Van Antwerp Road or from Palmer. We had a gentleman last year who drove a tractor trailer, and he would park his tractor on that section of road. And then there was cars parked across the street. It was a very buses, fire department personnel. There were different conversations I had about limiting the parking there. And obviously I told them I don't do that unilaterally. That's why we have these conversations. But it was brought to our attention. But in conjunction with that, when I spoke with Laura about it, Complete Streets intention moving forward, they really do want to connect those sidewalks. And so we would have to do it at that point anyways.
But, and you're saying that those properties do have driveways?
Yes.
And they do have a means to park off the street?
From everything I observed today, I was there 3 times today, drive by to make sure I didn't miss anything. They're minimal amount of residences, and they all have off-street parking. But again, I can go knock on doors and talk to them too, because there's not a lot of them, and just kind of explain what we intend to do. Part of the consideration originally was, do we do it on both sides to limit it? But we think that just the singular side would make the most sense.
I think that'd be a good idea to reach out to those residents.
We can do that,
Thank you.
certainly.
It's just about 1 block of Palmer, right?
So, yeah, so from the Nicholas Cornelius to Van Antwerp Road, that's about a block. There's only 1 house
Mm-hmm.
that's over there. Yes, there's 1 house over there. And then, it would be another block
Yeah.
that we're talking about in conjunction with, I provided Elena with a map to just show as well. So,
Yeah, I think the only concern that the residents might have is that parking on the street is kind of a traffic calming device, and Palmer
Sure.
Avenue is kind of heavily traveled because people are going from Union Street over to Grand Boulevard. And when you do have cars parked on there, it kind of forces the traffic to slow down. But I think you're absolutely right. We are going to hopefully connect those at some point with sidewalks, and at some point in time, we're going to have to deal with the parking in that area.
yeah, Plum Street specifically, it's sort of a unique road the way it's shaped as it comes down to Palmer. It kind of bends a little as well.
Mhm.
And like I said, if you park a car on both sides, it is a very narrow traverse for anything that needs to come through. So we good on that one. And then number 17 is a resolution to amend resolution number 2023-180. We're just changing the name. Our former vendor sold their business because it was in conjunction with a separate business that they owned, and they went under a new name. So it's going from Niskuna Tire, excuse me, to Specialized Vehicle Upfitting. They separated the two businesses. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. All right, and we'll wrap up with the Finance and General Government Committee.
Okay, going through, we have a extension of the resolution to, for the time buyback for non-union employees. The number 19 is the resolution to adopt the 2024 budget. And number 20 will be the resolution to authorize the monthly budgetary modifications. And that's all I have.
All right, so that's all we have for tonight's agenda meeting. At this time, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second,
All those signify by saying aye.
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 All right, we stand adjourned. Have a good evening.